So like this. And on one side of your page, write sociological at the top, or sociological method. And then on the other side, write theological method, because we're going to compare them. What is a method? Any thoughts? Awesome. So let's get today. Don't even forget that. A way of doing something. So there are two different ways. Actually, there are more, but these are the two we're going to work with in this class. Two different ways of studying religions. So just like you could have one object like Brian. Mariana's looking at you from one aspect or one side, and Morgan can see you from the other side. You look different to them because they're looking at you from two different angles. Same thing with religions. This is like two different angles on studying religions. So as we kind of go through this and talk about it, think about which one you feel more comfortable with right now. You're not going to be stuck in one or the other, but like which one do you feel more comfortable with? And the readings that you're going to do for our next two classes are going to explore these in greater depth. So if you are taking a sociological approach to religions, you stand outside of religion. I like drawings, so I would illustrate it this way. Imagine this is the religion that you're studying. Put this in your notes. Visuals help you remember stuff. And this is you. You are studying the religion, but you don't necessarily have to be a part of it. Kind of like a biologist studying, somebody give me an animal. Bears. You're kind of like a biologist studying bears. So you go out to the Rocky Mountains and you observe them. You see what they do. You watch them for 4 weeks and you photograph them and you study their behavior. That is how a sociologist approaches religions. Sociologists see religion as an aspect of human behavior, and they just want to understand it. So it's kind of like sociological method enables you to see that you can study religions and take them very seriously without necessarily agreeing with them or participating in them. So that's important to realize. A sociologist can study multiple religions using that perspective or that lens. So you examine people's beliefs and practices, but you do not necessarily agree with or share any of those. And there are some things that all religions have in common. All religions have a history. This breakdown is important because you're going to have to kind of cover this in our research reports and in the final, cover these 4 areas. A history, beliefs, what they believe, although some religions are more formal about that than others. Morals. Morals is how you're supposed to live your life. And that kind of came into our conversation. What's the difference between right and wrong? And is religion a good guide for life or not? And then there's ways of worship. Those are the rituals that religious people do. And one of you mentioned that sometimes those descend into routines that people continue to do in their lives without being aware of why. So history, where does the religion come from? Beliefs, what do they believe or think about God and the world? Their morals, how should you live based on that religion? And then their worship or their rituals. All religions have those 4 aspects. So you study those. There are certain questions that the sociological method does not answer. It does not answer the question, is there a God? This method does not answer that. It's not even relevant to the method. Okay, so that question, you will not get an answer to that question from the sociological method. It does not answer the question, which religion is the right one? I'm not going to answer that. Okay? That would be like asking, which grizzly bear is the right one? The question itself makes no sense, right? Grizzly bears are just grizzly bears, and they do what they do. And you as a biologist want to understand why, but you're not really passing judgment on them. You're just seeing what they are and how they behave. It also does not answer the question, what is right and wrong behavior? So sociology in and of itself doesn't make any moral judgments. It won't tell you what is the difference between good and bad, good and evil, right and wrong behavior. It is not going to tell you that. It'll tell you what the religions say about it, but it's not going to tell you that they're right. However, the sociological method will answer some of the questions we've been raising, particularly, why do religions separate people, and why do they cause conflict? It will answer that question. So why do religions have this tendency to separate people and cause conflict? Yes. And it will answer the question, hopefully you'll find it a satisfying answer, why is religion such a powerful force in human life? Why is it so powerful? Even here in the industrialized West, where people think that we rely so much on science and technology, and we have so much control over so many aspects of our lives, and religious texts like the Bible don't seem to speak to us today, some people think religion's just going to be left behind, it's going to disappear. Sociologists are aware that that's really just not the case. Religion is this enduring and powerful form of human culture that can be studied. And they have an answer. Why is it so powerful? The sociological method can also answer the question, what purpose do religions serve in society? And that's really the key question. What purpose do religions serve in society? And that's really the ultimate, that is the ultimate interpretive key for the sociologist. Religions exist because they do something for society. And that is a question that this method will answer. Albert, I do want to see you taking notes, because you're going to need this information. Are you getting it down? Excellent. Okay. Okay, so the theological method is different. How do you think the drawing is going to look? The theological method. Any guesses? The little guy is going to be inside the religion. So here's the religion. Theologian stands within it, but wants to study and understand it, and so questions it. I heard a lot of you in your journal entries writing about how you've gone through this process of maybe being raised in a particular religious tradition and then coming to question it. That is what theology is. You start with faith, you start with belief, but you question. Why? Why do I belong to this religion and not something else? Why do we do the things we do? Theology looks at these same four aspects. I'm not going to recopy them because that would be a waste of time. But theology also looks at history, beliefs, morals, ways of worship, and asks why. Why do we believe these things? So theology will answer questions like, is there a God? And why does it make sense to believe in a God? Theology will answer questions like, how do we listen to God? And does God respond to prayer? So some of the questions that we raised would have responses within theology. Why is there suffering? If God is good and God is all-powerful, why is there suffering? Does God allow it? Does God communicate with us through it? So the question of suffering, probably the most challenging, but the most important question for theology. These are all questions that the theological method would try to answer. So within theology, you do stand within a religious tradition. Come in and have a seat, try to catch up. You do stand within a religious tradition, but you don't just leave your brain at the door, right? You think about it. So if you're using the theological method, it is not enough to say, well, that is how I was raised, or that is what my family does. You want to find your own answers. If I'm a part of this religious tradition, why? Because there's so many others out there. Why choose this one? The theological method, of course, assumes an answer to the question, which religion is the right one? Well, mine, of course, but that doesn't mean you can't study other religions and take them seriously. You can, and many theologians do. That is called interreligious dialogue. It's very, very important in our world today because people of so many diverse faiths are coming together and encountering each other, and they've got to be able to communicate. The purpose of dialogue is not conversion. It's not me going out there to a Hindu and saying, you should be Christian. The purpose of dialogue is mutual understanding. So it works both ways. So theologians can study other religions, and many do, but they're asking truth questions. What is true in that religion? What is good in that religion? The sociologists won't do that. Truth is not an issue here. We're not looking for that thing. But over here, truth is an issue. So if I'm studying Islam, is there anything true in Islam? If I'm encountering people from an indigenous religion, is there anything true? Is there anything good in that religion that I can actually agree with and believe in? So you're looking for understanding and truth-seeking if you're doing theology. And that can lead to making comparisons. So if you decide to use the theological method, one of the questions you might be asking as you write journal entries and think about your final exam is, you're studying this different religion, how is it similar to or different from my own? So if you're using the theological method, you might be making comparisons, comparing and contrasting other religions with your own belief. And based on that comparison, you might say, well, I think something in this other religion, I think there's some things in Buddhism that are true. And I would agree with those. That's theological. It's a theological idea. Questions? This is just an initial scratching the surface of the two methods. But is there anything that you feel needs clarification? Then write your journal entry. Which method would work better for you right now and why? Which method would work better for you, the sociological or the theological, and why? You're not locked into this. You can switch back and forth. But just right now, what is your gut instinct in terms of which method do you think you're going to feel more comfortable with and why? So that's your journal entry. When you're done with that, you're done and free to go. Your reading for next class is here. Don't forget to grab your reading and turn in today's journals. So grab the reading for next class. And there is online work in Blackboard that you will have to do. Let me know if you have questions about it.